Well, hello and welcome to another Thursday Live here at the Association of PEMF Professionals. I am Dr. Jerry Dreessen, the Executive Director and April Fool's joke person. So last week, if you happen to see our lovely little post of me carrying on with PEMF in outer space, there was a special link to click on, and if you did that, then you would have gone through our complete loop on our attempt at humor, sending you to a April Fool's Day page. So that being said, we're going to carry on normal with our regular broadcast, and we're going to be talking about a couple of things today, which is for those of you that are building a PEMF business, whether it's for humans or animals, we want to give you some tools that you may not be using or have thought about, or ones that we use that we have success with. So we're going to be talking about that in our Thursday Live. And Rob, hi, welcome to the show all the way from Alberta. So what are we talking about today? Well, today we're going to be working on PEMF and the power of connection and how to win and retain clients. So some of us in our walk, we're using a PEMF device. Somebody comes along and says, what is that? Or, our 30-second elevator speech, what is it that you do? Or you're having just a, general conversation, and how do you turn that into a win if somebody wants to talk to you about PEMF, or if you've already established a connection and you're meeting that person, or you're setting up the PEMF device on them for a session. So what we want to do is break this down and talk about some of the things that we are doing and some of the best practices that we work with. And Patrick, hello. How are you doing today? I hope things are going well. Here in the Northwest, we're experiencing some warm weather all of a sudden and enjoying it. So hopefully you guys get some of that good stuff going on too. I am just kind of moving some things around here so that I can be more forward facing in the camera. There we go. So let's talk a little bit about building strong customer relationships in your PEMF business. As far as being connected, how to connect, how to understand, and how to succeed. And some of you have run across this acronym before. We've changed it to what we call FORGE, F-O-R-G. But basically, as you know, strong relationships drive trust, loyalty, and referrals in our PEMF business. There are... what do you guys think the saturation is? I think we're only like 25-30% saturated in the market. The other 70% don't even know what PEMF is, which is a great opportunity for those of us that are building PEMF businesses. There really isn't any competition with another PEMF person, because we can all compete for that 30% that know what PEMF is, but that 70% that doesn't and can benefit from it, that's a huge market. So just having that mindset, going after the 70%, that's going to be awesome. Oh, I lost my image. Hold on, folks. Let me grab that. Somehow I bumped it. There we go. And window, that guy right there. There it is. That's what happens when you got a wild mouse on your computer, just clicking away on stuff. So power of connection. So yes. And then basically from there, customers, they seek personalized solutions for their health and wellness. And the more trust you can build, in other words, if they could just get to know you, right? And what you have to provide, that's all part of this. And so we like to use the FORGE acronym, which is family, organizations, recreation goals, and that helps you uncover customer needs authentically. And of course, the key benefit with that is building foundation for long-term client success and business growth. So how this all works is when we are talking to people, we use this system. Those of you that are already great conversationalists, you've got this in the bag. You cover all of this, whether you know it or not. But for those of you that are just starting out, figuring out what it is, let's go through each one of these. So the one that you can remember is Forge. Some people is Form, Form, and instead of G being goals, it's message. So when you talk to somebody, you're initiating a conversation, trying to figure out what to do. If you go through this acronym, F for family. So you ask them, about, where are you from? Where's your family from? Are you living with your family, or who is your family? Anything that has to do with family. You got kids. Are your dogs your family? Those kinds of things. So that initiates a conversation that you can begin, and you listen. And one of the other things is when somebody starts talking, to not monologue over them. They go, yeah, I know, because when I had, brothers and sisters, this is what I did. Now all of a sudden you've taken over the conversation and you're telling them about you. Even though that we have that, we want to do that as far as that conversation, but the more we can get the person we're talking with engaged and having them tell us about them, then they start to build that trust, because now they feel like they can speak and be heard. And that's the other thing is, if you can say, wow, that's amazing about, your sister, tell me more about that. So, that's how you engage in that conversation. And then the next one is when you've kind of depleted talking about family, then you move over into organizations and, like where do you work? What do you do for a living? Or, if you're already at some sort of a meeting, you could say, how does this business or organization or convention that we're at, how does this apply to you? Or what do you think about, this event that we're at? So again, you start asking them about their business and, what it is that they do. And if you're at an event, you've got kind of that naturally built in. But again, explore all the affiliations. Are you part of any community or wellness groups? To find some shared values. So, who do you see for health? Do you see a chiropractor? Do you see a naturopath? Are you medicine oriented? Do you take, those kinds of things? But then also, as you're working on them, if they're a client, if you're just starting out, those are some of the questions you're asking anyways. So oftentimes this is what you do when you've already gone through the initial setup and they're, getting set up for a 10-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute session. You can use this as conversation starters as well. And then you move over to recreation. So, what are their hobbies? You guys might find something in common that you can talk about. I build ships for a living. Oh, great. I do too, but I put them inside those little bottles, just how those things start to go on. But you can learn about things that they do to keep them active. Are you a hiker? Are you a dirt bike rider? Wow. Have you ever, banged your knee up? Is that something we need to look at? Should we put the PEMF on your knee also and schedule another session? So, I sit in front of a computer all day long. I'm a graphic artist. Okay. Well, how are your hands and wrists doing? So the things that they do, think about what hinges are they using all day long for that activity organization, and see if that's another area of, to do a session on. And the same thing when you're working on animals, if they're dogs or horses, or, what activities do they do? How do you pasture them, or do they just stick around? Do they go up hills, they come down hills? And so you can see where I'm getting on that. And as far as hobbies, things they do outside of their normal life that might cause their body to go through extra stress. We've got people here in the Northwest, they climb Mount Rainier. They'll go to Mount St. Helens. They do trails. They build trails. There's lots of things that's a lot of pressure on their spine, on their joints, on their shoulders. If they, play softball, of course, now we've got pickleball. So that's a little more work on the knees and ankles. So you can begin to see how we can build these relationships out. Got a couple more shout outs here. Melissa, hello. How are the arches there in St. Louis? Or is it it's just the one arch, right? And then also Bobby. Hi, Bobby. Glad you're on with us today. And we have the final one, of course, is goals. And that's where we uncover health aspirations, like what wellness goals are you working toward? And the younger you are, the more it's all about getting, better times, getting better lifts, achieving, getting better at what you do. As we get older, it's making sure that I can live to, a ripe old age of blank. And oftentimes when we start hitting our 40s, 50s, and 60s, the abuses we did to our younger selves start to show up. Could be the bad eating habits. So all of that, processed food starts to mess with our digestive system, or we've got brain health, we've got organ health, but also our joints. Even in my world, in the chiropractic world, there are chiropractors that go out and dirt bike and they've broken their shoulder, 2 or 3 times in their life. And there are some doctors who actually have to give up their practice because their joints don't work. They'll bring in an associate. So those are some things to think about, especially if you're out there building a business. And let's say you are working with a chiropractor or you want to, they would actually be your first client. And you could say, tell me, what's an area on your body that's messed up, low back or knee or shoulder, or, how about if I just do a quick 5-minute session on your shoulder? That's often what I do in my clinic with patients. They'll be coming in and it's like, yeah, I got the shoulder, it's just not getting better. Hey, can I just do like a quick 5-minute PEMF session on your shoulder? And we'll do that. And they'll go, whoa, what is this? And then I get the chance to tell them about it and what it's all about. And then if you want to do more, we can, and then I tell them what the prices are. But they also hear about it up front when they become a patient. That's a little form. The doctor may talk to you about PEMF. It's a new device. And we have like a little one sheet that they're exposed to up front, but they may not know anything about it until we start talking about it back there. And then it's like, oh yeah, we talked about that when I became a new patient. So that's what we do on that. But of course, just uncovering their health goals. They may not tell you that, they've got a marathon they're training for, or they're a little sore because they've been cleaning out a house or buying a house, all of these different activities. And it's up to you to imagine what's going on in their world that could activate certain joints and things like that. Hey, big shout out to Kathy. If you guys didn't know, Kathy and I went to high school together. She actually lives a couple miles away from me. So Kathy, glad you made it today. And you've got a great opportunity. And one of the things that we do too, as chiropractors, when we're working on somebody, we'll say, who do you favor, your mom or your dad? Or, do you have a brother or sister that also has this chronic low back pain problem? And so we're also looking into their family history in a way. And it's like, well, I favor my mom or I favor my dad. And go, oh, okay. Do they have shoulder problems too? Or do they have low back pain too? Is this something that they can benefit from? So now you're starting to, build out that tribe or that organization. So those are some things that we do. But as far as putting it into action, so, step one is you ask an open-ended question during your consultation, just to spark that conversation, especially if you're kind of both staring at the wall, wondering what to talk about. So it's like, hey, glad you're here today. We're going to be working on your shoulder. Is this something that is an old injury? Something that just got started? Is this part of what you do for your activities, or is this part of work? And then, are you from the area? Did you grow up around here? Is your family here? Do you got siblings here? So you can see how that just kind of umbrellas out into more questions about family. And then, of course, we get into organizations, and then recreation, and then, of course, health goals. But listen actively and note key details, and to personalize your PEMF plans for them, because there are times where they're not going to say anything about an area, thinking that PEMF may not be able to help that. That they're on a new diet because their stomach is bugging them, or their digestive tract, or their wrists never felt better after their car accident they had 5 years ago. Those kinds of things, they'll start to pop up as you get to know them and ask these questions. Of course, those of you that work with animals, it's up to the owner of the animal to tell you these things. If you're an expert on an animal, you're going to see the limp. You're going to see them, moving things around, their body around differently. And what I have found is interesting is like with horses, that the horse often mimics what the rider has, because the rider holds themselves a certain way. So their weight on the horse is different. So the horse has to make up for that. So you could be creating a problem on the horse based on your problem. So those are some things to listen for too. But listen actively, repeat. So whatever they say, echo it back to them so they know that you've heard them. Again, that makes a stronger relationship. And then follow up with tailored suggestions. So based on your active lifestyle, our portable PEMF device could support recovery. Those of you that rent out devices, that might be your next step is, instead of me coming out here once a week, I would like you to try use PEMF on this area daily for a couple of weeks. We've got rental units. Is that something that interests you? And some people are like, hey, where can I buy one of these? And I've had patients say that to me too. It's like, I'm so impressed with this. What is, I want to get one. And so then now you can lead them to where they can make a purchase, and then you can counsel them on that if that's part of your business plan. And again, as far as examples, a client who loves hiking, wants better mobility, and they get targeted PEMF protocol. So hikers are going to be shoulders, they're going to be low back, they're going to be hips, knees, ankles. Depends on how long they've been doing it. And you might even look at their shoes. I mean, the things that you can present them outside of your field. It's like, how old are your hiking shoes? Are they brand new? They're your favorite ones that you've had for 4 years. Well, shoes only last about 2 years if you use them all the time. So if your shoes are breaking down, the next thing that's going to break down are your arches, and then you're going to get shin splints and knee pain. So you can kind of work them up that kinematic chain and look at different areas where you can do PEMF. And then last slide here. So form relationships and get them into results. So the acronym is designed to forge, to foster trust, and then turning clients into advocates for your PEMF business. And again, one of the things that should be in your vocabulary is, who do you know that has this problem that I can help? Like if you're a hiker, well, do you belong to a hiking group? Can I come speak to your hiking group? Do you have, a yoga club that I can come present this to? Or the nutrition store where you buy your nutrition, can I come be a speaker or set up and do a free, half hour for people walking through? So people that really love PEMF, they are your advocates, and they would love to see you be able to help other people. So, that's that organization. What are the other organizations do you belong to that I can come present? For example, if they're a Rotary member, it's like, are you guys looking for a speaker for your Rotary Club? I can come in and do a 20-minute talk on PEMF and a 5-minute demonstration. Those are great ways of building your business. And the same thing on the animal side, 4-H, there's horse clubs, dog clubs, anybody that's got something you're working on, most likely they belong to a club, or where do you buy supplies for your cat or your dog? Are you part of that organization? Is there a co-op that I can talk to? So you can see, just by using this formulation, you can forge relationships, and also you can come back to it. It's not a one and done. So maybe the third or fourth visit, you can start back into that again. And again, it's the same thing. If you run out of things to talk about, just go through that list and use that as a kind of a thing to set off your brain to go, oh yeah, let's talk about this. Hey, last time we were talking about that organization you belong to. How often do you guys meet? Or even offline, or even Zoom. Is there a Zoom meeting that I can jump into and do a quick, 10-minute presentation on PEMF? So, call to action: start using Forge today and transform your client interactions. So hopefully you had a chance to, if you're not already using a system like this, to use it, adopt it to what you've got going on. And again, our whole idea today on today's talk is just connecting, building connections, getting out there into your area. And, again, contact your local chamber, local Rotary, any organizations in the area that need speakers, where you're going out there and you can present yourself, and then talk to your current clients again. Just pick up the phone and just say, hey, I was thinking about you. How's your knee since I saw you last month? Do you know anybody else that could use my services? Or had you gone through and talked to them? I know that you were talking about the organization that you belong to. Is that something you guys do in person? Do you meet monthly? Can I come in and do a talk? Those kinds of things. So with that, I hope you were able to glean a few things. Definitely leave a comment below here in either Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, where we're broadcasting live right now. Things that you can do is help spread the word and let people know that we're out here. We do exist. Some people are buying machines and they're not getting any education on how to use it. We've been hearing back from a lot of you on that. So happy to be able to belong to this group and get all this information. So even share this link with them or point them our direction, and you will help them out as well. And yeah, Melissa, that's yeah, good reminder info. Yep. And again, I use this all the time, but just going back through it again, it's like I've got at least a dozen people that I can go back and use this on that I've already, talked to. And when I see them again, I'll jump back in again, because everybody that loves you wants to refer you, and this helps you initiate that process. So like and share. So like and share us. And again, feel free to, jump over to the website. We've got lots of research there that you can share. Our blog posts you can share as well. And membership site there. If you've got a question that you don't want on the public site, that you have a little more intimate question, or, specifics that you don't want to share, that's what the membership site is for. We can engage in a conversation there as well. Those of you that are just watching us for the first time, this is our code of ethics. It's on our website. If you want to know more about us, check us out, learn about us, become a member. We'd love to have you jump on board. If you have any questions about what you saw today or about our membership, then you can send us a quick email, info@pemfprofessionals.com. Thanks, Kathy. Hopefully those of you that see this live or even on the replay, you'll be able to grab this If you're really interested in knowing more about it, shoot me an email. I'll send you a few more tips on creating conversations and building business. So with that, I want to welcome you to a new month, right? We're getting ready. This is the month of Easter. So some of you are going to be traveling. There's lots of spring breaks happening. If you've got kids that are of different ages, unfortunately, you have to pick the one spring break that everybody can be part of. But I wish you safe travels and look forward to meeting up with you again next week. Rob, you're welcome. Glad you jumped on board. And I look forward to talking to you again. And have a great day here from the AOPP